Yo, what is up, metalheads? Welcome back to Metal Massacre, the number one metal podcast on the internet. I don't care. It's
I
me.
don't care.
It's me, your czar of Nar, Dustin, alongside one and only Weirdo with the Beardo, Lucian.
What's up, man? I'm really excited about this episode, mostly because the person we interviewed is for the first time in a band we're about to play with. We've had the close calls. We've had the person we're interviewing knows the band we're about to play with, but we've never actually gotten to talk to somebody before we played a show with them. So that was really cool. It was a good insight. I feel like the talk was really fun, and honestly, I'm really hyped into their music right now.
Yeah, dude. Warbringer, if you haven't read the title today, obviously is the band we're talking to. And yeah, you're right. It is super cool. And especially if we were going to play with them or we can play with them, that's cool. But literally he was on this PR tour.
Yeah.
For this. And so we were super lucky that we got to talk with John. John was his name. I have my notes in front of me. Now they're in front of me. But and he honestly, we get some great interviews on the show, and a lot of people are busy. He had nothing but time, and he's a super charismatic dude. Really excited to give this interview to you guys. He was a lot of fun to talk to, and one of those people you could just let him go, and he's like a wind up toy. You just let him go until the wire.
So he's my kind of guy. He's super motivated and passionate, and hearing people like that talk it's infectious. You get that way too, and I feel like once you have someone light the spark, it's super easy to become that way. And I love it. I love when people are that into their work.
No, dude, 1000%. But since we normally, we do these interviews at any time of the day, and a lot of times we get together in the afternoon. But I'm
crack one
of those. Yeah, I got something from Kansas City called "Nice Driveway, Bud."
Oh, nice.
Yes,
it's literally about to blizzard here tomorrow in Nebraska.
It's wild.
It's 80 degrees today, and then we're gonna get 7 inches of snow tomorrow. So we're just kind of hunkering down. I know me and you got some plans to just game it up tomorrow and be goofballs. I'm excited. So I was kind of happy when I was like, you talking about all I need to do tomorrow is make content and and fucking play video games. I have nothing to do.
Yeah, no excuse not to.
That's
and
wild.
Nothing that oh, dude, I gotta, I should get this done, but I have to work. And nah, we got time to make content and create.
Today and tomorrow off, baby. I'm good. Mother Nature decided to dump right when I was off work, so I was like, cool. No mind.
Yeah, no, not at all. So honestly, we've already said a couple of times, great interview, and it's I think the interview is 45 to an hour long. So we just wanted to, we always do, pop it at the top. But I have something special for us today, actually. And what I want to do before I do that is harken back to a story time. We, in our previous show, which again, we have been putting out old episodes and new content on our off weeks, as we've explained many a times. So won't go into it that far again. But if you're a newer listener, that's why you're getting weird content on every third
You're
week.
Why am I getting video game podcasts and Mystery Science Theater 3000 shit and old episodes of the Weekly Geekly? Because we said so. So enjoy that every third week. I don't fucking. It's next week.
It's next week.
Next fucking week, you're gonna hear this shit, and I hope you like it. I'll tell you right now. I think we're gonna drop our Mayhem episode next week from the Weekly Geekly, which is a really fun look at the band Mayhem, looking at the movie that was based on it, and comparing and contrasting, and kind of just getting the full story. I was super proud of that episode, so I'm excited for you guys to hear it.
Yeah, it's a great deep dive into everyone who's a metalhead has heard the story of Mayhem. If you haven't, hey, I'm not shitting on you, but a lot of people have. But they did a really good job on the old show. But it's a perfect tie into this show now. But I want to tell a different story.
Ooh,
I can't actually remember if it became a podcast episode topic or not. It's been years.
Shoot it, I'll remember.
There was a time when you, at your old house in the old studio, when you got a package in the mail.
Oh yeah.
And said package in the mail,
bro.
It is okay.
Yeah.
It said package in the mail. For those that don't know, it might be a fun thing to go deep dive into or release content on. But one of our friends, well, a kind of spoiler, but one of our friends dropped something in the USPS that was like a creepy doll, and it ended up being almost like a riddle game that Lucian had to solve. And it wasn't, the friend wasn't me. That's not what I'm alluding to. It was one of, I'll give it out. It was one of our old co-hosts. But I need you, while I'm housekeeping, to go check your mailbox.
Why?
I mean it.
You want me to check my mailbox right now? What did you bring me? Okay.
I'm going to do the due diligence.
This is going to be intense.
Yes. So, first of all, folks, this is a this is a perfect chance for me to again just do the housekeeping and tell you again. Please join our Discord, discord.gg/Metal Massacre. The podcast is easy to find on all feeds as you found it here. We're live on YouTube and we're about to do a little video content. So if you haven't popped over to YouTube or you're an audio person, but maybe you just want to see some shorts, we'll make some clips and some reels out of it. I'm going to have him hopefully open some of this live on air. I sent him a package and we're in on the joke. Once he gets back in here, we'll allude to it. But again, thank you for all your guys' support. Please check out our Patreon, our Discord, and everything else we have available to you. Very easy to find.
Did you get this delivered? Did you drive all this? It's got your address on it.
So I delivered that to you, and I just did all the housekeeping, told him about the Patreon and the Discord. I feel that was a perfect time to do that.
Cool. Yeah.
I want you to open that for the camera here, and then it's all going to make a lot more sense.
Okay.
And like I said, if you're an audio only person, we're going to do our best to kind of explain theater of the mind, but I highly recommend you check out at least maybe this portion of the YouTube for us. But I obviously had to repackage it. Ooh, the suspense. That.
No fucking way.
Why don't you tell them what it is?
It's Divorced Dads.
So we've all seen, if at this point, if you have it on YouTube or on your Instagram or something that someone hasn't popped up, a thing of Divorced Dads booster packs, the age of alimony. Awesome. I'm not going to make you open it live on stream if you don't want to.
I want to. Are you kidding
I want to too. I was like, maybe you want to keep it or not. But I figured, you know what we can do for the top of this episode? Let's fucking rip some packs, bro. Let's open up some cards and we'll go one after the other. I'll let you start. But yeah, just a little gift, dude. They finally got me. I finally was like, these guys are so fucking funny. I'm going to order 2 packs. They're like $10 each. It was like 24 after tax. And so I figured I'd give one to you and we'd make some content out of it. And like I said, I highly recommend if you guys are, since we're opening card packs.
So hard to open, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
They're incredibly stiff.
On the back, it says, boost your gameplay with these cards. I am never alone. Welcome to the Divorced Dad's Court of Chaos, the Age of Alimony expansion pack. If you have no idea what we're talking about, they're like magic cards, basically, that come in, you're ripping packs just like everything else. I'm going to open this right here. He's opening his right here.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man, of course. Well, happy birthday, like 8 months in advance or whatever. But I was like, you know what, man, You've talked about him. I've talked to him. We've seen him. Let's open some packs.
I love it.
Why don't we go ahead and go one by one and kind of show what we got here.
Starting from the top. Late night text. Remove 5 of your cans. Send 1 card from the opponent's field to the junk pile. This tool cannot be doubled. Late night text. That's pretty cool.
This is funny. I got the drunk tank.
Oh, nice.
You can send you to the drunk tank.
I love the artwork on that.
Yeah, that is super cool. It's like a little death cage. It's a card. It's a tool type. Special attributes: return the most recent card that was sent to your junk pile back to your hand. There's 9 cards per pack, so we'll just kind of rip through these nice and quick. Yeah. But what's your next one?
Hair transplant. A beast so beautiful it's painful. Choose to send cards from your hand to the junk pile. Each adds 1 attack to the beast at the end of your turn. Hair transplant.
Oh yeah, the skeleton. That's pretty funny, man. These are awesome. Yeah, I got pawn shop. Nice strong card. It's a terrain type card. Then at the end of your turn, flip a coin. Heads draw another card. Tails does nothing. It cannot be doubled, and it stays in play until it's destroyed. And it's got like an old school medieval looking market.
Oh, I like that too. Hell yeah. High school trophies. Draw an additional card from the top of your deck to match with your hand on the number. I'm not going to stop reading them. I'm a little tipsy.
No, that's fine.
Trophies. It's heads on hunting pikes. It's pretty cool.
Ooh, this one's like got holographic sheen to it a little bit.
Oh, nice. You got
trying to see if the camera will pick it up. It's got a little.
I can see it. What
yeah, It's car wash tokens. You're gonna add 2 cans to your point and draw a card from your deck. Nice.
So they all come with a map one. You can make a map out of it. I got the Shores of Steel.
Ooh.
And then
I have the Tower of Sad along the Path of Pain.
Oh no.
I know. Yeah, these are super cool, man.
This one's called Knee Surgery, and it's just this dude getting ripped apart by a fucking monster.
What else we got? Pubes the Gray, strong card. It's a beast type, and it appears when you least expect it.
Nice. Let me see.
Yeah, she's like an old wizard, like holding a pipe.
No.
I'm gonna turn off my ring light over here so it stops doing that. Like
I got
on it. Sorry,
I got home security.
It's an important one. Everyone's obsessed with that.
Yeah.
The left leg of alimony. It's a tool card.
That's a rare one, dude.
Yeah, it stays on the field until you send it to the junk pile. The left leg of alimony. Yeah, it's just like a little like boot in a suit of armor, essentially.
Hell yeah. So you get both arms, both legs, and the head, and that creates alimony. So you got like one of them. That's pretty sick.
I know you know the lore of these too. I thought you'd like that. Bit.
Yeah. Porta potty.
Nice. That's got the shiny tune.
I love how good my camera's doing with these.
Yeah, that's amazing. Mine's like me is nice, but then I get close and it's out of whatever. Pressure washer. It's a beast, a gas-powered water dragon.
Let me see that shit.
It's got like a nice like Hydra-looking serpent.
Oh, that's sick, bro.
Yeah,
there you go. Now it looks really good. Hell yeah.
There it goes. Yeah,
that's awesome. I got hot tub.
A couple more here. We got like 2 more for you audio listeners. Thanks for fucking with us. That is cool.
That's pretty fucking. It's like a bunch of bodies and a giant cauldron.
Yes, the good old tool card, the 6-pack. Can't go wrong without potions. A good 6-pack. Yeah, a bunch of potions. Each can removes from your points on their next turn. So like it screws over your opponent's points.
I got a beast card called Little League Coach, and it just says goblins surround you, and it's like this dude on top of a bunch of bodies fighting them and shit. It's pretty cool. And
I got one more. I also got a porta potty. Yeah, I also got the big porta potty tower terrain card. And that was my last one, man.
Bro, we'll have to play this. I want to play this.
We need to get a bunch of
decks it's or how many packs it's going to take, but we could totally. I think it's maybe like 3 or 4 in a deck. I don't remember.
The original expansion was actually sold out on their website. I mean, like they had play mats, they have all sorts of stuff. Hey, I mean, we're not sponsored by them. This isn't a sponsored stream. Just want to make it very clear. But shout out to that guy that came. He's up in Ontario, Canada, I believe, is where it says it on. But like, regardless, yeah. Shout out to the Divorced Dads Magic Card Pack thing that they're doing. It was just so funny that it finally got me, and it was worth spending $20 to get my buddy a present and make a little.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was really cool.
Of course, man.
I was thinking about those forever, and then I forgot about them, and I was like, "What is?" And then I saw the fucking sticker. I was like, "Motherfucker!" Like,
right. Cheers, friend.
Cool. Cheers,
yeah.
man.
No, I'm happy to do that. But again, hey, I want to do something fun today because normally these like quick intros, we're also, by the way, we are slating up our next, he already told you, next week is the off week. So we're going to have more gaming content from me. This episode's coming out. So we got the next week, and then we'll be putting out the Mayhem episode, and Devin will have some more riff tracks for you. And
then after that, it's April, and it's the last episode of the season. We're gonna start getting all beefed up for season 4 of Metal Massacre. We've already got a lot of stuff in the can, and honestly, I like that. I like that we can kind of work ahead of things, but we are still, there's always new opportunities every month. So we'll see what we get next month too. I'm excited. We got one that got postponed as of today of this recording for tomorrow, which I'm very excited for, because it's a band that like I have loved since I was in middle school, because they were just so fucking weird, Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of fun stuff happening with Metal Massacre. We're still trying to grow the brand while we both work like 4 jobs between us.
Yeah, seems that's true, actually.
You know what I mean? It's like it's there's something to be said about content creating. It is totally a lifestyle, and we are trying to build up what we love. And I want to thank everybody for listening and watching and subscribing. And whether you're here for Deathcast or you're just an old Geekly fan and you want to support us, like or even if this is your first video, man, like I really appreciate everyone just checking it out,
1000%, man.
Yeah.
Or myself. Like, you guys mean a lot to us.
If you want to support us, and like we've already given you ways earlier in the episode, but another one, if you want something back for it, metalmerch.net is our new merch store. We've got cool stuff in there, even stuff that isn't technically even on the show, but it's just fun, stupid shit. So go check out, maybe get a hoodie or some artwork or a hat. We made some custom Deathcast hats, and use promo code Lemmy, all caps, for a pretty sweet discount.
Oh, yeah. We'll link all of this in the description below on each one of the episodes. Like I said, if you're audio only, you want to see some of those cards, I'm sure you could Google them, but please give us a look out on YouTube. We'll maybe make some maybe we'll make some reels of us like ripping these packs or something. Who knows? I'll look into it, but we're going to continue to go, and we haven't forgot that we are always going to do some one-off episodes where we have topics and lists and reactions and things like that. We're going to get back to doing those, but we've been so interview heavy because touring season is starting. People are getting back out on the road.
That's a big thing for sure.
So we're honestly one of the things that I'm most excited about too, because he already brought up that we have some really big guests that I don't want to spoil yet, but we also have some bands that we're going to put you on to, and some bands that you maybe haven't heard of that are going to release, because again, when we get these things, we got a lot of European dates this year that came out to us, but also they're coming here, things like that. We're going to try and put you on to as many bands as we can, highlight a couple more locals. We got some big like A-list celebrity names that are going to come out as well, and in the metal world, of course. And then, but other than that, let's talk to John from Warbringer. If you're ready, my man. It was a great interview. Let's get into it.
I'm down. Enjoy, guys. Welcome back to Metal Massacre, the only podcast that's not taking your shit anymore. I'm Lucian, the weirdo with the beardo, with me as always, and the Czar of Nar. And today we have a very special guest. We got John from Warbringer. John, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
The Czar of Nar. That's a new one for me. Okay, I was impressed. What's up? Yeah, this is gonna be sick. How are y'all doing?
You blew him out of the water right away. I'm so excited about it.
I'm gonna keep that one, dude.
Yeah, dude. Take it. Like in 2 years, we're gonna see a new album, like a new Warbringer single, the fucking Czar of Nar. Like, damn it.
That's right, dude.
You can have it, dude.
Dustin would cream his pants if that happened. So we'll wait and we'll hold out hope for it.
I'll see. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's cool. I've been doing a bunch of interviews for the new record, and generally the vibe is good, and pretty excited to put it out. Certainly, we've been getting a lot of positive feedback from the singles and stuff. So I'm really stoked to be. We're going to be back on the campaign trail and just putting out new music. Record number 7, baby. Let's go.
It's crazy,
awesome.
Dude. It doesn't seem like it's really been that long as a fan of yours. So just to give you that other perspective, but like that's 7 albums in the better part of just like 2 decades. It feels very long, but also like so short to have that amount of progress. But like, and even especially not to dwell on anything, but you guys had the hiatus so that you can just look at the discography and see the gap. You have 7 albums in that amount of time. And in my opinion, first of all, congrats. Like the fact that you guys have another thing coming out. Awesome. The singles they rip, man. And I feel like you guys are constantly keeping, every time something new comes out, it seems to get a little bit more, without being disrespectful, I want to say like in your lane. Like it seems like every time you do it, it sounds a lot more like Warbringer every time. And I mean that in the way that every time you guys make something new, it just seems more refined. It seems like you're constantly evolving and putting more pen to paper and making it tighter every time you do it. So congrats, man. Like this album so far, just from the 2 things we have, I'm excited. I'm very excited.
And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think refinement is sort of our whole project. I think we set out basically to play what we would consider, some ripping thrash in the classic metal canon. And that's what I'm into, and just wanted to like make the most refined version of that we can. And it's just been a project of doing that for our whole career, starting from an extremely unrefined place. Because this was, for me and some of the rest of us, it was my first band ever. I never played any music whatsoever before Warbringer.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So it was straight up like first garage band. And we happened to still be around, and that's kind of a trip, actually.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. With oftentimes with bands, you see a natural sense of evolution, But it's like, how many times do you listen to a band or do you talk about a band and someone goes, yeah, they're good, but those first 2 albums, God, that's where they shined, you know? And it's so nice to see bands continuing to evolve in a positive way as they go on. And hiatus aside, like 7 albums, most bands do like 2 albums and take a hiatus. It's like you guys have like really stacked things up. So I didn't feel like there was that long of a wait, if that makes sense. There was so much to digest while we were waiting that it's just like, okay, I know you're coming back, but what are you coming back with? And now Wrath and Ruins coming out in March, and I think it's about halfway through March the 14th. And dude, I'm excited to see not only how you've refined it so far, but what you guys are adding to it this time. Because along with refinement, I feel like new elements are getting added in every album. And not only are you finding your voice, but you're experimenting with that voice as well. And it's just a fun thing to watch.
It's just, we got to keep it interesting to ourselves as first and foremost. So you know, I don't know what anyone else hears when they hear us. But as a listener to my own band, I want to see myself as a vocalist, lyricist progress, and I want to see the band as a whole musical entity progress. And there's a line to walk for sure, because I always say the band's called Warbringer, and we got a big red spiky logo, so like it has to kick your ass, it has to blow your head out, or your money back, you know. And you know, so that's the first thing. Now once we've accomplished that, then how, you know, once we've done what we're basically supposed to do as a band and wreck shit, how do we make it as interesting as possible, given like accomplishing that goal as well? So that's sort of the line we try to walk, and I think various songs kind of lean into different thrash neighboring genres, which fortunately I think thrash is sort of at the center of the metal landscape, and sort of the genealogy or whatever, shares a border with damn near everything. So there's songs that lean into black, into death, and hell, even within like black and death, there's different sides of it you can lean to, right? And then the song goes, Strike from the Sky goes into like old school, like speed metal-ish stuff. And there's just different ways to go for each song. And we kind of try to have like, we try to be able to explain to ourselves, this song is different because it does this. This one is like this, you know? And so we're not hitting you with, we don't want it to blur together. And I don't just want to write stock schlock, you know?
Right.
We're trying, if I'm going to still do this, I want to be one of the best ones out there. Whether I am is for someone else to say, but that's got to be the goal, or I don't even deserve to appear on a stage in front of you, is how I feel about it. And so we try our best, basically, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it. And there's a part of me that's surprised I'm still doing it, and there's a part of me that's like, well, what the hell else would I do? I don't even know anything else by this point, you know?
That rules, man.
Since I was out of high school. Yeah.
When you're writing these songs, do you guys like, oh, the black metal one, let's play that one? Like, do you tend to do that? Because I feel like with bands, you're always going to have, we kind of have our more punk song, and we kind of have our more like speed metal song. And do you guys end up kind of referencing things that way when you're talking about your music?
Well, because at this point, it's like if we were talking like the black metal leading song, it would be like, which one? Because we had one.
That's so true.
So we got to be a little more specific by this point. But yeah, when we're writing a record, we do have sort of vision. Okay, well, we already have a song like this. So if we're coming up with another song after that, and the pitch is basically the same, we're not going to make that. So we're not even going to write that song.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because we need to be able to basically say to ourselves, like, what's different about this? Why should I put this on a record that already has these other things? One funny thing about us is we don't have hardly any songs that exist that didn't make the record.
Really?
That's honestly probably pretty rare, I would say.
Like one you said?
One that has some good Adam riffs, and we couldn't figure out how to make a song of it. The riffs I still remember, I have the riff in my head here, but it's pretty good one, but we just never made a song. But there's almost nothing that that we wrote that was a song that never made the record. It's all very like focused. And one of the things that we did, I think is a bit weird, that we did on the last 3 records, counting this one, is most of the songs, on this one, 7 of the 8 songs started with me going, here's like a title and a lyric, and it wouldn't be like the whole thing, but it would be like, here's some lines and stuff. And I had this like floating Google Doc shared with everyone that I would periodically like get kind of high at night or something and like write shit on, and like just be thinking about stuff, and I'd put stuff on there, and it would be like, I would write like a little short paragraph, like, here's what the song's supposed to be about. Here's musical references for the kind of shit vaguely that I envision it sounding like. And then here's the lines I actually have. So for instance, the sword and the cross, I wrote the whole outro segment where it's like the medieval lord now wearing a suit and a skyscraper pointing at you and being like, I'll own you forever, peasant. My children's children will own your children's children. What you gonna do about it? Nothing. You know, that kind of thing.
Awesome.
And
it's got like Macho Man Randy Savage energy.
But I wrote that before like anything else. And then the whole rest of the song was like, well, what do we do to reach like make that make sense? Dude. And straight up when we tracked that part, it was like, first we actually tracked me just singing that to a click track with no music, and Carlos wrote under it. Oh, cool. So we do stuff like that I think is really atypical for like bands in extreme or fast metal, because it is riff based music, and we do have the riffs front and center, but we often go with like the idea and the lyric first. And I think that lets us do this like storytelling, quote unquote, thing that I think you don't find a lot. And just I think our approach being different in that way helps give it some of that unique character. And then also I just am stuck on this for forever. We're like, this has been a thing for a while that we do. Because looking at a lot of like our influences and stuff, you'll find a lot of songs that do follow like verse, chorus, middle break, solo, verse, chorus. And the Warbringer variant is after middle break, solo, completely different verse that just ends the song.
I guess now that I'm thinking about it,
Kills has it, Descending Blade has it, like so on. So we do that structural thing a lot, because I write these fucking outro verses before the rest of the song sometimes. I'm like, I gotta get that in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
dude, that rules. I think that puts a lot of trust.
I'm not a player either. I just yell at stuff. So I'm coming at it from a different angle, and I'm like, I want to, you know, and it's so I think there's some stuff in our process that makes us do stuff a little different, and I think that's helped us stand out.
Definitely, man. Like I said, it puts a lot of trust in your people, but that shows that you guys have, to use the word refinement one more time, it's not always about like better. It's something that is, you have the trust in your people to be like, I have an idea and I fucking know it's going to work. So here you go. And then being able, like you said, almost every project, even from me personally, it's usually, if it's heavier metal, it's riff based. Like you said, it's, I got an idea. Here's a break. Here's something. Let's put it together. It's not like usually like pop, where it's like, hey, we're making a beat and then we're going to hire a singer songwriter around it. Like to have the fact that you have these ideas and can just throw them in a Google Doc after a doink and be like, guys, I got an idea. That shows that you guys have such good chemistry that A, as a fan, it makes me more excited for what's going to continue to get happening for this new album. But B, that is an interesting peek into the mind of how some other people create. Has it kind of always been that way for the past like little bit of time? Like you said, it already has been, but would you say it happens more on this newer album or less? Has it just been refining itself as it goes forward to do that more often?
Last two records were a lot like that in general, and I wouldn't be able to do it. It's largely because Carlos Cruz is a really good arranger, and he sort of was like, because he's a guy that plays a bunch of instruments, and I'm a guy who plays none, and so it's a level of trust for sure that, oh, this Kevill guy's got a good idea, and it's worth doing it this weird sideways way to get the finished thing we get, and you know, some of the idea like. I think that some of the ideas and rhymes and stuff are cool on our last few records. I'm proud of what I put down there. And I think that being able to work that way does help a lot towards being able to achieve that. And sometimes like straight up, like Firepower Kills, I straight up mouthed the riff because I had the main riff of the song. So I'm like doing the Beavis and Butthead. dun, dun, dun,
do that all the time,
dude. Like straight up, that's how that riff comes about, and then it's like, oh, actually make that a guitar riff because it's just me doing dun dun dun.
That's cool, man.
But that stuff's happened too. So weirdly enough, I think my limitations as a musician are a catalyst for creativity in an interesting way.
That's awesome. I mean, it's a brilliant way to think about it, dude.
One of my favorite things creatively to hear and to watch and to be a part of myself is I love having a crazy idea, and I love just pitching that idea and having the trust with the people I work with to know that, like, listen, it's gonna sound fucking crazy. It just keep an open mind, but I swear to God, this is gonna work. Yeah, and then you're the Pepe Sylvia of the band, and you're like, he's here, Pepe Sylvia, it's right here. Like you're just you know what you have, and you're so excited about it, but you sound like a crazy person. But it's a great thing when bandmates or people you work with in any capacity see that excitement and they know what's behind it, and they know, okay, if we go balls deep into this idea, it's not only going to work, but it's going to be one of the coolest things we've done lately. Like, I know me and Dustin have podcasted forever. We played music together. There's a lot of things we involve ourselves with. And I know Dustin can speak to this. There's always a day, like 3 days of the year, when I will call him random times of the night and be like, shut up and listen. Like, I have something crazy. We need to do this. And I think that synergy and that excitement behind the ideas is what keeps bands going. It's what keeps you in the band. It's what keeps you enriched in the music and wanting to keep upping the level is the excitement with collaboration. Was this always kind of how you've been with creating, or is this something you kind of found yourself doing?
It's something I'd say that more and more kind of inched in there, and it sort of came into its own on Woe to the Vanquished record, where I was like, you know what? Yes, I'm an old like war history nerd, and I'm just gonna do that. Like,
sick.
So that was like Woe to the Vanquished. I'm like, I read a lot of shit about World War I, and it horrified me. And I want to put that feel, not even the thing itself, but the feeling I felt going like, oh God, people did this.
Yeah.
And like put that on that that you feel on a record. And so that's where I was kind of like, I'm just gonna sort of lean into myself and what I'm into and not worry about if anyone else will care.
That's awesome.
Because
that
it's
rules,
like
dude.
I'm in all the weird stuff, and this record, it's like a bunch of social theory, depressive shit, basically, to a large extent. Stuff about like class power and the economics relation to my individual life and stuff like that. I'm trying to turn that into songs that are catchy songs and sound cool. But like, for instance, I'm like, guys, I want to have a song called A Better World, and Where Are Us? So it's like, that doesn't sound like a cool title on the surface, and that's the point. But because it's a kind of an ironic, grim twist to it of being as bleak as fuck. But I'm like, trust me, just let me fucking do my thing, And so
let me get there.
Sometimes I get a little skepticism, but I think it's an interesting way to work, and I feel like I gotta try to do my own thing as an artist. I don't want to be stock, I think we already did our first record is like sort of our homage to just classic thrash stuff, and from there we're like, okay, we've done that, and now how do we grow from that, pretty much, and how do we develop while still being the band we are? And that's that refinement thing, to use that word yet again. It's just what whole career has been in my mind. I think the hiatus we had was it's generous to call it a hiatus. The band fucking collapsed. So it fell apart completely and didn't exist for a few years. So it was just me for a minute. So that was really tough to come back from. And so when we're doing Woe to the Vanquished, that was sort of like the Phoenix record or something. Because we come back, and I think that's maybe my favorite one. I have a lot of personal attachment to that one. But it's the last three, certainly, I think, are like the second era of the band. I think we were always a pretty damn good band. And I think we managed to raise the quality late in our career. And I think that's rare.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially
It's very
for
true.
like something like a thrash metal band, because typically you're like first two records or
Right.
something are where it's really at, and then after that, it's still cool, but like the the spark and the fire was burning so hot at this one particular time or whatever. And so and for me, like I wouldn't find it very rewarding if I felt like we're spinning the wheels, we're still putting out like good material, but our best stuff was at some time in the past. I'm like, I wouldn't find that artistically rewarding. So it's like I have to. There's a sort of a gauntlet thrown down of like beat yourself every time, and every time you do a record where you feel you have beaten yourself, that gets harder. Because what the fuck else am I gonna write about? I have like 50 something Warbringer song, right? More now. But going into this record, it's like, because we have a few instrumentals and not every record has 10 songs, but it's like, dude, I've written like 55 different lyrics for songs. Like, what am I gonna do here? What new rhymes do I have? What new ideas do I have? What hooks are there? And like I found them, and I always feel like I'm not gonna, and then I do. But I always feel like after a record that I've like, man, you know, especially if I think it's really good. I felt it after the last two, and probably feel it now. But I'm like, what am I gonna do next? You know, what do I have to offer that I haven't offered already? And I keep managing to find it for at least my own view of myself. And I don't know. I really hope that I can keep doing that and keep putting out stuff that I'm like, yes, that's new, that's worth putting on a record, and I'm excited to like yell this stuff.
Right. Well, it sounds like you've gotten it down to a formula. You know what you like, you know what your message is, you know what you want to write about. I think as long as you keep following those
you
parameters, you know, I wouldn't worry about that. It feels like you're the man who can't lose motivation, to be honest. I love it, man. Your energy is just infectious.
Yeah, so if I project that, it's a very good illusion. No, dude, I'm very self-doubting. A lot of the stuff on this record, you'll notice like Better World's like depressive as fuck, because that's where I was when I wrote it. I was so we put out Weapons of Tomorrow. So Warbringer has been a known band in the scene for quite some time, but we're in this uncomfortable space where we're like big enough to be known, but not big enough to where, say, like I can pay anything in my life with it. So, like, you know, it's almost like I took one of those medieval vows of poverty to play Thrash or something. That sucks. It sucks for my personal life and my marriage and my relationships and all this, like, interdimension stuff. So I always felt like the band, because early on especially, we got, like, a lot of, well, this is these new youngsters didn't reinvent Thrash on their first album or whatever, so it's a total rehash. And there's a lot of like writing off and sort of journalistic malpractice, I'd say, towards the new wave of Thrash that kind of colored the impression of it. And these were very young bands that hadn't like fully developed yet. And I think most of the ones that stuck around like did and are quite distinguishable from whatever their 80s influence. So I think you can tell us apart from any of the bands I like in a second.
1000%, man.
Yeah, so I think that the metal scene had kind of like a weird reaction to the new wave of Thrash because of the way things aren't just experiences. Like, here's the record, here's the show. It's this online thing, and you know, that's all I have to say about it. But
you're on a podcast right now, man. Like, this is what I have to do now, dude. We took advantage of it for the same reason that we're like, this is what we should do. This is what bands are going to be doing to get their message out there. We might as well make a podcast about it. Trust me. As much as everybody at every level, I think that's what we've heard is just like, I wish I didn't have to fucking make Facebook posts, but here we are. Like, it's just is what it is.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm about the records and the shows, you know. We saw ourselves as like an old school band, and that's not just the sound. It's like the ether. We're a real fucking rock band, goddammit, you know. Like, here's our record. Listen to it front to back. We put thought into this. There aren't fillers, you know. Screw you. Like, you know, don't put this on a playlist. Listen, you got to listen to Vanquish front to back, then Weapons, and you'll see, you know, and then Wrath. You'll see the progression. That's kind of how I'm trying to do these, because that's what I think. Like, all my favorite shit, I'm like, yeah, I want that, the whole thing, and I really like it that way. So we're trying to make it, and ditto with the show. It's like a really live show that we so there's like a sampler too that plays between the songs to give the band a 10-second break, and that's it. Other than that, it's the fucking band. There's nothing else. So
super authentic.
You know, I'm proud of that, quite frankly. I think that's something we've done really well in our career. But yeah, so we've had sort of a chip on our shoulder because we got written off. And when we wrote on our second and third album, we did have musical progression. There was kind of people still were like lumping us in as like we're trying to just clone whatever from the 80s. It's like we were rooted in classic metal because for me that's like the shit. That's what I like, you know. But we were trying to evolve and make our own voice within the sound we like, and we actually did that, I think. And so the fourth record was the sort of like, we're gonna go so off in a bunch of different directions that if you're still saying we're like just a Slayer knockoff, you're just straight up not listening. And the fourth record was probably, I wouldn't say it's our strongest record, but it kind of opened, and the band fell apart right after. So there's a lot of bad vibes inside the band at that time. And we've been touring way too hard and nobody liked each other anymore and all of that shit. But it sort of opened up a lot of different avenues with different songs on there that we had done with. It went in all these different ways because we were just throwing the book at the wall pretty much. And so the fifth record, Vanquish and Weapons, and this one, I think, couldn't have existed without that step. And that's where we kind of hit our stride for real. It was a few years back. And also, I think by that point, we're kind of out of the period of the new wave of thrash being this thing that's sort of pushed on people in the market. And people, I think, were able to see us as more our own thing rather than one of those bands or whatever.
Yeah.
But so anyway, that's like our career story. So at the time we put out Weapons, we had kind of rebuilt the whole thing, and between the drop off and that, we had lost traction in the metal marketplace. We weren't as big of a band. We weren't getting the same kind of opportunities we had been. So it was a rebuilding process that took a lot. Got to go and pay my dues again, basically. They'd been paid a few times, but I did it again, and it comes out of my back and whatever. Because I headbang every fucking show, the whole set, period, end of story. It hurts. Yeah, there's a bit in X-Men. Damn right it hurts, yeah. There's a bit in the old X-Men where someone asked the old cartoon, that one, where someone asks if Wolverine, like when he does the claw thing, it's like, does that hurt? And he goes, shh, every time, bub. And that's how playing metal shows is. Hell yeah. It doesn't hurt, you're not fucking doing it right. Yeah.
Bro, that's a perfect attitude to take to it. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
We've
rebuilt by Weapons of Tomorrow. We've rebuilt, and we're finally getting like serious critical acclaim, serious fan acclaim, where we're kind of seem to be universally or nearly mostly regarded as like, that's a killer band. And Weapons got the best reaction we'd ever gotten up to that point. And we put it out like right as the COVID lockdown started. So it's like, fuck my life, dude. Right. So we can't capitalize on it. And that sort of created, and like, then I'm sort of like a musician who's not playing music, and I got to take random odd jobs, and I'm living in the middle of Los Angeles, and the cost of everything goes way up, and I'm fucking poor anyway. And I'm just like, ugh. And so it's a lot of the like really dystopian and depressive themes on this record, songs like A Better World, songs like Cage of Air, come in, and I get really into that. I got straight up like horribly depressed for a while because I'm just like, I have no future. I had this weird time where I'm like, dude, I started a band and I hit the 1 in a million where my band actually did get signed. We actually did tour the world. Not fucking good enough. You're still going to be poor, motherfucker. You're still going to lose. And I'm like, what the fuck? Even when I win, I lose, and that's a tough pill to swallow, man. It's really, I'll tell you, it's emotionally jarring going from like you're on tour and people are cheering for you and they love your record so much and they say all those nice things and it feels great, and then you go home and you're like, dude, I'm a fucking loser. I have nothing,
Well, and like you go home and nobody knows, you're not Superman in the cape anymore. You're just another guy, and it's such a weird feeling when you feel like you're inside something that everyone knows about.
I mean, I'm fine being just another guy because the human condition's fine. I just want to be another guy who has basic security.
Yeah,
that's the thing that bothers me, right? I don't even want a lot. I don't even want money. I want to be free from it, you know. But I'm not. I'm not even close. So that influences like most of the time, if I'm gonna like argue with my wife or something, that's the root of it. It's not because we don't like each other. It's because fucking stress from external forces, you know, impersonal forces. And I'm like, you know, if I didn't work, it's one thing. But dude, I've worked my ass off in this band, and I'm a like, tutor and a teacher too. And the fact that I keep leaving for tour has, and just I don't know, my own fucking problems and issues, I guess, it meant that I don't have like a good day job at home. Really, I have one, but it's not great. And so I'm like, you know, so I take that that fucks with your self-image in a lot of ways. And so I was trying to like put that into some of these songs, like a Better World and Cage of Air mainly, but there's other ones. But you're saying like I'm like confident of no, actually, I specifically wrote about my own unconfidence, you know, my own bleak feelings about the future and my own like inner self-loathing and all of that stuff I put on there. And I'm just like, fuck it, it's honest. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you know? You're bearing your soul, but in a way that's beneficial.
Yeah. Well, or even if it's not, at least it's real, you know?
Yeah. I think so. It is.
I don't know if it benefits me necessarily to write these bleak as fuck songs, but it's real. It's what I'm feeling. So I just did it. And I think it gives this record kind of an interesting voice because and just has sort of an interesting theme. The themes here are like class power and techno-feudalism and sort of like the dark future. Last couple records were kind of pointing at the idea of, I'm looking back, the basic thought of the last two records sort of taken together is you look back, you study like the world wars or something, or the kind of weapons and stuff that people did to each other at large scale from legitimate government states, organized as it can get. And you're like, God, you know, like, looking at, I don't know, the fucking German invasion, the Schlieffen Plan in 1914, which is the beginning of the First World War. I'm like, never, ever did the Kaiser mobilize however many, you know, 7 army groups or whatever to go build houses for the needy. Never once has anything like that ever happened. But if you want to go like slaughter enormous numbers of people, specifically your own lower class, for no discernible benefit, we'll do it. And it's just like, that's the concept of technology making stuff worse rather than better, because you can do the same old barbaric Dark Ages shit, but with industrial levels of efficiency now. And then, so that's the Woe to the Vanquished, kind of looking back at that period and going like, oh my God, the machine, you know, the age of man is done. The age of machines has come. We lost, you know, already, and living in the shadow of that. That was kind of my thought there. Weapons of Tomorrow is like, what will come next out of that? Oh, that's fucking scary. And then Wrath and Ruin is sort of like, well, now as a person living in these societies and these conditions, it's kind of like less the battlefields and the weapons and more the methods of social control. And in like Cage of Air, the speaker of the song's going like, the thoughts I have, can I even be sure those are mine? I am surrounded from birth by a sophisticated web of advertising and propaganda. What's the difference? And, you know, I was noticing weird shit while I was in this depressive period in LA. I drove by a fucking Subway and I didn't even read the sign, but I just saw the green and the yellow that they have, the specific ones. And I'm like, those are just colors. I thought fucking Subway when I saw it. That's like kind of evil, you know, like that they're able to stick that in my head when I see green and yellow and I think they're brand. There's dark shit you can find, like there's an unused patent, I think Sony has it, but there's a patent that plays an advertisement, and in order for the advertisement to stop playing, you have to like recite the name of the brand at the thing. That exists. That's a patent. They haven't used it, fortunately, but that's like, you know, so
yeah, it's getting some dystopian shit
and sinister about that to me.
Dude, you're right on the nail.
that kind of dark future. It has a very like cyberpunk leaning thing, because I think a lot of the 80s cyberpunk, not just the films but the novels, like like we have a song Neuromancer. It was because I read that and I was like, holy shit, this is the darkest thing ever, and it's so prescient on the way that this future, neo-futuristic digital life we have kind of like erodes the human condition and isolates you within your own mind and stuff. So I'm trying to get that on a record somehow in a way that doesn't make me sound like the Pepe Silva thing, and do the best I can.
I think you're doing good. No, so I've been
sense.
listening for a while, and I checked out the 2 new tracks, and I have a theory of like I need to listen to things a second or third time right before I talk to somebody, just to kind of place those feelings in my head while I'm talking to you. And it never came off as Pepe Sylvia to me in the music. I'm saying when you're talking about your ideas, does it ever feel like Pepe Sylvia? Because I'm the same way with my ideas. You're very like wrapped up in them, and it takes control of you. And it's almost like comparable to like you cannot move past it until you have worked through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
certainly.
That's the way I feel about my ideas anyway. And I can tell you're kind of the same way, but
I can, I was just saying, I was going to actually, a while ago, I was thinking, I was like, everybody's got their A and their B. Lucian is definitely like I said, he calls me at 2 a.m. being like, shh, listen to me. I have an idea for a show. And you, again, I think that's like someone that has the same energy, which I appreciate, because again, I love bouncing off a creative type. I'm the guy that then tells him like, hey, that's cool, but let's narrow it down a path here. Do you have someone in the band that's that guy for you? Someone that really helps you refine your thoughts and is willing to listen?
So I think that it's more of it's less, because for me, I actually do a pretty good job, I think, of really condensing stuff into short lines and trying to take something that if I were to write it or say it to you would be like several paragraphs long, and then putting it into short rhyming couplets. I think that's one of the things I think I do really well. But it's more, how do you actually get this to like be a song and exist as music, and then also fucking jam? Because like if it doesn't fucking jam, it doesn't matter how cool my idea is.
Yeah. You could write the coolest lyrics in the world,
so,
if it don't work, it don't work.
And that's basically what I mean, because he is such an ideas guy that he has these great thoughts, and I'm really not the big ideas guy. I'm more, hey, here's how we put it into place and schedule these shows, and that's how we have a dichotomy that makes this show work. It's why we've been able to get people like you on the show. So yeah, I'm more meant like you with the theories that you have, because you were telling us from the top that you sometimes it's even just a concept in a line that you do first, and then it becomes a song after that, even from just the lyrics.
Both of the songs that are the singles here, I had one time where I think we're in like Illinois or something. We're on tour with Cavalera, and we're standing back behind our tour van, and we're like smoking weed, and I'm like explaining, and I'm like quoting some of the exact lines that are in those songs now to my, to like Chase Bryant and Carlos Cruz and stuff. And, they're like, cool, man, keep working on it. But yeah, no, I definitely like these songs existed in my head for a couple of years before we ever wrote them.
That's cool.
And that's been the case for a lot of them. One of my litmus tests on if an idea is any good is if I don't write it down, because you can't write it down first. You have to not write it down. And then if you remember it for like a couple weeks, then write it down. And if you don't, then it wasn't fucking good to begin with.
It's more of an earworm that way. I totally get that.
It has to be catchy, because like it's that's one thing that drew me to say thrash over like a lot of death metal, which I enjoy my fair share of death metal, but just I'm more, I guess, a thrash guy because I like the catchiness, and I like that that it still basically is like a rock music skeleton. It's just like super hot rodded up or whatever. But I like shit that just rocks basically. And thrash to me is about as there's some death metal I think fucking rocks too. Like I don't know, Cryptic Realms or something. But there's really catchy. I want it to be catchy because I'm like, okay, we're hauling ass most of the time, right? And we have a pretty good amount of riffs and all of that. And I'm like, okay, so we we need to make it so there are hooks everywhere and earworms, both in the musical and the lyrical department, because otherwise it tends to blur together, you know? And so I really want to avoid that and make songs that I would want to hear just for the sake of like, this rhymes different there. I want to like feel like I should be singing along and stuff. And yeah, I just want my shit to be catchy. So, and you know, without any cheapness, like just repeating a ton or, you know, pop hooks or whatever. No, I just want it to be like, if you just do good rhyming couplets. That's why I have a real emphasis on like diction and enunciation while screaming.
Yeah.
That's something that's sort of a calling card for me as a vocalist, I think. Because I'm like, if I'm going to write this stuff and you can't understand me, I don't do, you know, you shouldn't need a fucking lyric sheet. It's there, but like, shouldn't need it.
Yeah, I respect that a lot.
Dude, that's
highly respectable. Well, often you hear people say that like the vocal, they don't really care about the vocal or lyrics in metal. And I'm like, well, if you say that about me, that's like that's a failure of me as a vocalist. So I'm not going to let that happen. No, you're going to notice me, goddammit. You know,
yeah, dude, awesome.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Rules, dude.
I think it's like, it's so true though. It doesn't matter what it's more in the heavier types of metal, like death and extreme and even black metal, where there's been such a focus on how you scream. There's not as much of a focus on what you're screaming. And it's nice to hear someone that has that same inflection or that same diction or wants to make it a little more legible for people who, because you never know who's listening to your stuff. Someone could pick up a Warbringer album and never heard of you guys before, never heard of Thrash before, and you might be their first foray into it. So to put that best foot forward and make sure the message is known is such an important thing, I think, for this genre of music.
Well, let's say even if okay, so I tend towards like old school death metal, right? So I don't know. Let's say Bolt Thrower, Realm of Chaos is a pretty fucking like chaotic, brutal record, I would say. But like, I'm really glad that on the title track, it's like "Enter the realm of chaos. The nightmare has just begun." I don't know what like the quote message is there, but like, I'm glad it's that and not.
Right.
Like, enter the realm of chaos, the nightmare has just begun. In that voice, I'm like, fuck
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that's, I wouldn't call it like, well, it's about fucking Warhammer, but that's another thing. But
you know that.
The point is, just even if it's just like a cool ass sounding line, it doesn't have to be like profound or whatever, but like, give me the line. Like, I want to hear it because like, I'll be able to go enter the realm of chaos. And like, that's sick. I remember that. And then it like sticks with the riff and I remember the song more. And it's just, I would say this, if you're a non-melodic vocalist, if you're screaming in any or growling in any sense, there's two basic elements to music, right? There, as everyone knows, there's rhythm and melody. If you're doing vocals, there's also words. So you have a third tool in there, I guess, or a third angle. If you're throwing melody out the window, which I am, right? And so is everyone in death and black metal, right? Then why also throw words out the window?
Right.
I think like if you're John Tardy or something, I'll make an exception, you know, because I really like that's sort of like a deliberate choice. I feel like that works and gives me in that band's case, give me the image of like a rotting zombie shambling towards you and just that's sort of the image I get from his vocal character, if you will. But most of the time I'm like, yeah, give me something cool, you know, something cool that I can hear in there, right? There's plenty of it in like, fuck, if I'm listening to like Bathory, you know, the eldest among the men looked deep into the fire and spoke loud with pride. Tomorrow is a fine day to die. Like, that's done with a super raspy on it.
Yeah, almost Cradle of Filthy. You know what I mean? Not quite, but in the vein of the
let's
highs.
not do Bathory that disservice, my friend. I'm sorry, I can't go there.
No worries.
No disrespect, but that's not for me. Bathory is for I love Bathory, but just like, that's a cool fucking line. You know, it makes you think of like barbarian warriors preparing for battle or something. I'm like, yes, now I got a picture in my head. I want that. I don't skip that. Like, if you skip that, it's like leaving money on the table, you know?
100%, dude. You're totally right. I first of all, I could talk to you about this shit for days. Like you're a very fun guy to talk to. Let me just say that, John. Like I appreciate you having the energy on the show. It's not, again, we've been really lucky that like most people, because they're entertainers, it isn't just like we're interviewing someone that's a scientist and is pulling teeth and we're asking them fucking like, so then now like,
but to be straight up with you, John, some people just suck at interviews, and you're really good at this, and I appreciate your energy and like the passion you put forth in this talk. It's very apparent, you know, and to kind of requote what you said, you're not leaving money on the table. And you're making the most out of it. And honestly, it's been a treat. Like Dustin said, we could literally sit here all.
I would do this all fucking day, but we know that you have other things. Again, we're getting emails and stuff. We got other stuff that you have to do today. So before we let you go, which I don't want to do, but we have to. I do want to ask you a little bit about, just so we can give people, because when this is coming out, it'll be only like a week away from the album itself dropping, and you guys will be getting out to touring sooner than later. Can you tell us a little bit about the tour starting in San Diego, and you're going basically all the way in a big circle coming back to LA? It's with Allegon, if I'm saying that right, summoning the Lich.
I believe is how you say
it. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the tour and how you were linked up with those guys? Because again, listening to each one of the bands, it's a great package.
So the way any tour happens is ultimately you get an email from your booking agent, and you reply saying, I want some more of this or more of that, or put it in this time. And it's sort of, you have limited control. Like you don't get to just sort of like cherry pick stuff. So when an opportunity comes in, we have Legion, Skeletal remains, summoning Lich, and like that's a pretty cool like death metal leaning package. And we are like, sure, that sounds pretty cool. So that's like looking forward to touring. Skeletal Remains is a band we played with a bunch because they're from Los Angeles as well. Carlos Cruz, our drummer, played on one of their records actually.
Oh wow, sick.
And Legion we have not played with before, but it seems to be like a pretty like technical, intense death metal band. So like stoked to do it. And it brings a wide range of different metal stuff to people. We've toured with like most every thrash band as well, and it's kind of cool to have like sort of a genre split where different bands are in like entirely different fields. So there's not like such a direct comparison, and the next band comes on, now you're hearing like a different sound. So that's cool as well. And just as it turns out, like the tours we're doing, it's like a lot of death metal bands we're touring with this time, which is cool. We do well in that context. So we're doing then Carnation, Cryptopsy, and Decapitated in Europe.
Nice.
And we're doing a summer festival run. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. And we're doing a summer festival run that involves a bunch of different festivals and club shows, and including a run with Creator and Rotting Christ for some shows in there. So that's what we got on deck for tours right now. It's USA, Europe. There will likely be more tours in 2025. And we're kind of holding till the record comes out to see what opportunities might come our way and what emails might pop into my inbox that I can say yes to. We're really looking forward to getting out there. We're going to be able to do what we couldn't do on Weapons of Tomorrow and tour this whole record. If this is coming out like a week before the thing, we'll have a third single out actually, Through a Glass Darkly, which I could talk to you about that if you want. You guys haven't heard that, have you? You didn't get the record, it seems like. Because a lot of folks I'm talking to have heard the record, and then I guess you guys just had the singles. The third single, you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, if you got the time, we're good.
So here's me here getting my Fefe Silva out. So there's so first, this song musically is kind of trying to do, if you know, like Defiance of Fate or something from our last record, the more like epic fist to the sky flavor of Warbringer. Trying to do that in like a short package. So we got like a 4-minute song, but it has that like epic look at the stars plaintively kind of thing to it, and also just like fist raising shit. But if you're into your old war movies, which I get from my dad, that's where I got all that shit. There's one called Patton. About the General Patton, who's kind of like an interesting character, kind of a nut, quite frankly. But the dude, there's a scene in there where they're in North Africa in 1942, and he's like, "Turn the Jeep here, goddammit, I can smell a battlefield, go there." And he talks like he's got bolts in his mouth all the time. That kind of thing. Great performance. And they go to this empty plain where there's some like old ruined columns, and he describes like the Romans deployed here and the Carthaginians deployed here, and here's how the battle went down. And 2,000 years ago, I remember because I was there. And that's what he's saying in the middle of World War II. And as it turns out, the real guy, George S. Patton, wrote a poem that they're referencing in the film called Through a Glass Darkly, which I just straight up, like, a lot of the lines I took are just straight out of there.
Oh, wow.
And it was because this guy, who was a U.S. tank commander general in World War II, really thought that he had lived and died thousands of times as different warriors on all the battlefields of history. In the poem, he talks about, like, I hunted down the mammoths, you know, so it's like from the Ice Age, I was a warrior. And then he marched with Caesar. He rode with Napoleon. He suffered and bled on countless fields as both heroes and traitors. And the best line in there, which I actually got in the song, is he describes being the Roman legionnaire Longinus, who's the guy who stabbed Jesus in the side.
Oh,
he's like, I was, you know, it's like I stabbed the Savior in his sacred, helpless side, yet I've called his name out countless times as I've died. And I'm like, that's a fucking bar right there, man.
That's as metal as it gets, dude.
Yeah. That gave me chills. I'm like, ooh, so I got that. I straight up got that in the song.
Yes, dude.
I'm like, so it's a cool one, and I think there's something to that concept. So I'm like what you call a scientific atheist or something. I don't believe in none of that, but it's like still got that emotional heft to me. And I'm like, ooh, that says something about the human struggle, and it's just like I thought that was like such a cool idea for a song, and it fits in with the Warbringer theme and everything of pondering the past and whatever. So that's the next single coming out, and it's kind of like the more I guess emotive wing of the record. And it comes after like one of the face breakers on the record too, because that's how you do it.
Cool. Fuck yeah, man.
And so that's the third single, and I think we were aiming between the three singles to really show some of the range of this record.
I was gonna say something about that, because I can tell immediately between the two you've released there is a huge range between them already. So I'm excited to see that third one to kind of get the whole rounded picture of the album so far. So
we kind of have it where each song sort of leans a bit into a different genre, like I was saying. So and then there's some that we aren't able to release everything as a single. We have like a brutal thrash. The one song that we did have all the riffs first is called The Jackhammer, which is the least conceptual song, because I tend to be like, I need to explain myself an idea before I start writing something, but I do sometimes just write to riffs. And in this one, it's very simple. The riff sounded like a fucking jackhammer. I'm like, that's a word I've never used. I'm like, this is not like a fucking jackhammer. Let's just call it that. And it's a brutally direct song about like street violence in an urban decay setting. And the setting in that song, which references like dumpsters and barbed wire garbage and, just crumbling, broken freeways and shit. We're actually talking about the place around our rehearsal studio in Los Angeles.
I was just saying, I was like, it sounds like downtown.
It is. It's exactly that. Yeah, it's precisely that. We have, that's the only one of the 8 that actually all the riffs came first. And then the title is directly referencing the sound of the riffs. That's how I got it. So we do work the other way sometimes as well. And I think having multiple angles just for each song is cool.
Fuck yeah.
And what else on there? I referenced this one. I think Cage of Air is kind of like this more progressive thing. We have these, what you might describe as like Pink Floyd-esque vocal mutterings at the beginning. You know how like there's the voices before, I don't know, like Great Gig in the Sky, where it's like, I'm not frightened of dying. Anytime will do. We have like some of that shit going on before the song gets going, but it's like bleak and dystopian. And actually the voices there are me, Adam Carroll, and my wife.
Sick, dude.
And the Cage of Air is describing sort of like the social forces that make you keep doing the things you're doing, where like you aren't actually in a cage or anything, but you are going to show up on work to work on time because you do not wish to be homeless, and you are going to do that every single day, and you may not prefer to, and et cetera, et cetera. And the guy kind of like questioning his own freedom and free will, and wondering if his sort of thoughts and decisions are his own and stuff. So that's a cool one. And then the Strike from the Skies is like our speed burner, where I just shriek my head off. All the high screams are on that one, and that has more like a speed thrash tonality. And it's sort of about the U.S. military empire. Yeah, it's like that's an empire. It's what it is, and
It is.
that's just what we do, and expect more of it, and that kind of thing. And also just some like and that we want the kind of like something I always say is, you know how like on Maiden songs there's almost a sense of setting. Iron Maiden's one of my favorite bands. Like the Trooper, you're on a horse. Run to the Hills, you're also on a horse, but you're in the Wild West. Caught Somewhere in Time, you're in the future because you hit those laser guitars. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, you're on a boat. Aces High, you're flying. Except like you just get that feeling. If you didn't speak a word of English, you would probably get that feeling, right?
Right.
It's true.
So I like that sense of like setting for the song. So we try to do that too. So we're like Sword in the Cross. When it says bring the sword, it's like should sound like a horse barreling you over. Better World, where it's kind of like futuristic-ish, because I think those like single note Melodeath riffs kind of have that vibe for whatever reason. And Cage of Air sounds really like claustrophobic. Jackhammer sounds like a fucking jackhammer. Strike from the Sky should sound like a jet going by your head, So we really aim to have that kind of like we have like an image with each song as well.
That's a super cool concept. Awesome. Like
I'm really excited to listen to this now that you've said that. Like that got me more into it. Like that is really cool, dude.
Sick.
Well, before we let you go, because unfortunately we do, I just want to reiterate one thing that we've been also, because like Lucian and I have been sitting here like, because there's, you guys are all over throughout late March to April. We're based in Omaha, in the middle of Nebraska. Oh. So there is, for our local listeners, because we have them all over, but we're our biggest base is here. Down the road on April 4th at the Bourbon Theater, for everyone listening, this tour is coming down to Lincoln, hour outside of where Omaha is. It's the capital city, but so if anybody listening wants to catch the tour, that's probably the closest person to us that you can grab that. And it has everybody on the bill: Warbringer, Elegon, or we'll learn exactly. Skeletal remains, Summoning the Lich, and then the local support is Molten. We're Molten, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
So we're on April 4th.
That's fucking cool. All right, man. Well, I'll be seeing you guys there. That's killer.
Yeah,
we didn't want to start with that because it'd be like, by the way, hey, dude, that's how we got this interview. But like, no, and actually, what's funny is to pull the curtain back before we go is our PR guy that works with your booking guys and so on and so on. They're like, hey, do you have any interest in talking to Warbringer? That looks like they're in your area. And we're like, funny you should say that. Because the show's been announced locally as well, so I'm not embargoing nothing, but we're very, very excited, not only for the new album, but hey man, we'd love to grab a picture or two and hang out with you a little bit when you guys get to Lincoln. That'd be fucking sick, and especially because you seem like a really fun dude to hang with. And
I'll make sure I bring a little talking to you about like military movies for an hour in the back alley and smoking a doink.
If you want to talk old war movies with me, I will gladly partake.
Bro, don't get me started on Behind Enemy Lines or At the Gate or any of that. Like I won't shut up.
No, dude. Yeah.
He almost went there. He's like, no, I know.
It's at the gates. That's not the Red Army didn't win that battle because they were idiots. God damn it! Fuck you, Hollywood. Do it right. It's a cool movie because we don't have anything else from the Western canon about Stalingrad. Right. But holy shit, they weren't that stupid. That's not why they won.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get into it, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a real treat. Honestly, like we said before, we do a lot of these, and sometimes you get someone on a band you really like, and it's a big bummer when they're just giving you one-word answers and they're not really willing to talk. And I think you have been probably the best guest we've had all season. And I really mean that. Just thank you so much for going and kind of deep diving into everything, your process, your lyrics. It means so much more to us. And I know our listeners are going to be so much more apt to check things out when they can get that behind the scenes. So it just really means a lot.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I'm just doing my best to represent myself and my music and just be a dude and just be honest about my thought process. And so I don't know how else to be. So I hope that I come off as well-spoken, not too much that because I am prone to ranting.
No, I think a little bit of both is healthy, though. I think a little bit of both is healthy because it fuels, it shows that passion, because if you weren't, then I wouldn't believe you loved it so much. It's like it showcases your passion for your craft. And I think that's nothing bad in any means. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys. It's been wonderful being on your show. I hope to see you guys out in Lincoln. And, hopefully I'm holding together okay by that point of the tour.
Yeah. I feel you.
We'll bring you some warm soup and a blanket. We'll help you out.
I actually would appreciate some warm soup. Like, good for the throat, because the screamophone, hurts every time, bub.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, hey, take care of yourself, John, and we'll see you in Lincoln.
All right, see you guys there. Adios, amigos.
Adios.